Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, or good evening, good night. I can see that there's some people from Australia, or perhaps New Zealand here. Down under with love says, anybody got any toothpicks for my eyelids? Oh dear. Well, you can always come back and watch it on the replay if you fall asleep. But yeah, it's 5 p.m. for me, so late afternoon. But I'm guessing for most of you, it's going to be morning. Anyway, we're here to discuss the University of Idaho murders that happened on Sunday. Now, when I saw this all unfolding, because it was the same reporters covering this who were covering the Michael Vaughan case at the beginning of the week, I thought that they would catch whoever did this very quickly. But it seems not. And there's a lot of information coming out. There's a lot of potential things to discuss. So I've spent the last couple of days learning the case and putting together just about everything we know so far about the case. I think if they don't catch someone soon, this is a case that is going to skyrocket into conspiracy theories. I can just see it coming. It's that kind of case. I haven't heard anybody mention false flag yet, which is a very good thing. But it's very sad indeed. But I am going to start at the beginning and work us through and kind of assume that you don't know anything about the case. Now, I'm guessing that if you clicked on this live, you will know, you will have been following the case. But for the sake of the people that don't know, then I will start at the beginning. I'll give an overview and then I'll go into what we know, what has been discovered over the last 6 days. And it is only 6 days. So this happened in the early hours of Sunday morning. So it's tragic and it's baffling. I think they will catch whoever did this. I think a knife attack that murdered 4 people is going to have left evidence. He's going to have left evidence that they can use. Yeah, it is, Debbie. Absolutely. Like a 1970s horror film. It is. Absolutely. I know there's been contradicting reports from the coroner herself and what the local reporters are saying. So yeah, and one of, I think it's Kaylee's dad. I've got the news piece that I'm going to show you in a little while, saying that no, it's not. It's Zana's dad. That she had defensive wounds. And then the coroner said that they were lightly asleep. So I don't know. Possible. Yeah, and we don't know who called 911, do we? This mystery caller who called 911. Very odd. There's just some really odd things that we need to discuss. Thank you, Debbie, for the £5. It's in my currency. Yeah. I learn with every case that making assumptions too soon and just relying on guesswork just doesn't work, because you end up with a situation that's far different than we imagined. Guesswork and speculation has its place, it does. But we're only 6 days in. Let's just stick to the facts and see where they lead us. Thanks for the $9.99, Gia. It was a bouncy thing. Thank you so much. Yeah, I heard the same too. I heard the same. Well, yeah, young, you know, party lifestyle, false sense of security, relatively quiet neighborhood by the looks of things. There was a dog. One of them had a dog, yeah. I think it was Kaylee that had a dog. And the dog is okay. The dog is being cared for. So, I've got a slideshow. And I'm going to dip in and out of this slideshow. It did me, but the latest update from the City of Moscow Police has an update on that. So we'll get to that very quickly because that's one of my first things that I'm going to show you here. Okay, so these are the young people who lost their lives, sadly. So the house, which is this house, it's a 6-bedroom house within a mile of the University of Idaho campus. It's 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. 6 bedrooms, and there was 5 girls, 5 young women sharing this house. So Ethan, the only male that was murdered, was a visitor. He was a visitor of Xana. So Ethan and Xana, who were both 20 years old, and then Maddie and Kaylee, who were both 21 years old. These two look like twins. When I'm looking at photographs of them, I can hardly tell them apart. I don't know about you. They just look so similar. They really do. But beautiful, beautiful people. It's just absolutely tragic. I mean, the words, it's just awful. It's horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Just getting my chat up on the other screen because I can't see the screen. I can't see the chat on the screen that I'm sharing, but I've just got my chat up on the other one. He was a triplet. That's right, Ethan. Yeah, he was a triplet. So sad. They do. They look like twins. I'd say that they look like twins, not just sisters, but twins. Did the others in the house hear anything going on? Allegedly not, but we'll get to that. There could be a reason why, but this is just, at the moment, some of this is what's just come out in the press. But I want to, I'll include that. I think that's important at this stage, just gathering pieces of information. But I'm focusing on what law enforcement tell us primarily. So this is what the City of Moscow Police Department put out at 4:40 yesterday. Now, I don't know whether there's a new update. This is the latest one I could get. But there could have been a new one literally just come out. While I've been sitting here preparing the live, a new one could have come out. But this is what they were saying yesterday. So the Moscow Police Department is providing the following information to update the public on the known facts. On the known facts surrounding the 4 murders that occurred on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. On the evening of November the 12th, Kaylee and Maddie were at a local bar called the Corner Club, and we're going to get into the maps. We've got all the locations and everything, so we can see just how close everything is to their home, to the university. They live kind of on an off-campus accommodation, but it's very close kind of to the town. But quiet. The street itself is quiet, which could have led them into a false sense of security, I feel. So they were at the Corner Club in downtown Moscow between 10 p.m. and 1:30 p.m., which takes us over into November 13th. At approximately 1:40 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie were seen on video at a local food vendor called the Grub Truck. Now, there was this video that's come out that a lot of people have jumped on and played and analysed, but there is an update on that, as I said. Okay, so they used Uber from downtown to arrive at the 1122 King Road residence at 1:45 a.m. So just 5 minutes drive away from their home. Investigators have determined that Ethan and Xana were seen at the Sigma, is that Chi or Chi? Sigma Chi house on the University of Idaho campus. Now, this is where Ethan lived. Ethan didn't live with the women. He lived in a separate accommodation, but he, just tragically for him, was visiting on this night, spending the night with Xana. So at approximately 1:45 a.m., Ethan and Xana are believed to have returned to the residence, and it was previously reported that Ethan resided at their home, but that's not the truth. He was only visiting. I know there's some kind of reports coming out that there were 6 people living there and Ethan was one. No, he was a visitor. So they bought all of them. So there's kind of 2 couples who were doing their own thing, and then they all got home about 1:45. So that's the time when last anybody saw of them. November 13th at 11:58 a.m, officers responded to the residence after a 911 call reported an unconscious individual. Upon arrival, officers discovered Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan deceased inside the residence. And we don't know who this 911 caller was. I don't know if that's come out today and I've missed it. Presumably the police will know who that's from, and I'm not really sure why they need to keep that secret. I guess they're keeping everything close to the vest for now. I'm going to get into that, RN. The latest info is that it wasn't an Uber. Yeah, that's come out today, but a private driver. Yeah, that came out today. So there is some conflicting information, and that's not necessarily unusual for a case that's as complex as this, where the police are trying to piece together the movements of 4 different people, plus the 2 roommates. They have to account for them as well, and what each one of these were doing at what time. So it's not unusual that things are conflicting at this stage. So autopsies were conducted on November 17th. The latter county coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 murdered individuals and the cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing. The coroner stated that the 4 victims were likely asleep. Some had defensive wounds and each was stabbed multiple times. So, like I said, there was some confusion when the coroner spoke on News Nation. She did a piece on News Nation. The local reporters were saying that they couldn't get these facts that this coroner had stated, that they were just kind of basically stonewalling them. And Alexandra Duggan really wasn't happy. And you'll recognise her name if you've been following the Michael Vaughan case. She's done much of the reporting on his case. But it means something to Alexandra because apparently she's an alumni of the University of Idaho. So she's there at the scene. So I think she was a bit put out that the local reporters weren't getting the same information that News Nation got. But maybe they'd all gone to bed and were woken up by the noise, by something. We just don't know at the moment. Okay, no sign of SA, which is thankful. But it also means that this wasn't likely a sexual motive that this killer had. So if we rule out a sexual motive, because there is a couple of RSOs very close, I mean incredibly close to King Road. So, but if there's no sign of SA on any of them, then was it not a sexual motive, or were they going for one? And then I don't know. I find it really confusing. What was the motive? If it wasn't SA, what was it? I'm seeing kind of stories in the chat about the daughters and granddaughters going away to college. It's a scary time. It's a scary time because, you know, the young, they want to enjoy themselves. They're adults, so you know, you can't stop them enjoying themselves, but they don't necessarily have the greatest awareness of danger when they're in that kind of, you know, communal living, false sense of security type situation. So this is the update regarding the grub truck. At this time in the investigation, detectives do not believe that the two surviving roommates or the male in the grub truck surveillance video are involved in this crime. So I've seen quite a few people thinking that the roommates have got something to do with it. So there's two female roommates. Or the male at the grub truck. I mean, he really interested me initially, but if you watch the video, he goes off in a different direction. So Kaylee and Maddie go left, and then the young man in the hoodie goes straight on. They go in different directions. So we know that the police have spoken to him, and presumably he can account for his whereabouts, you know, after Maddie and Kaylee get into the car that takes them home. Additionally, online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. Now, I'm glad that they mention this, because there was a screenshot. I think it was a screenshot from a Facebook profile that was doing the rounds. It was either a Facebook post or an Instagram post. I'm not sure which. And it was doing the rounds on lives yesterday that I was watching. And it's allegedly from one of the roommates. And this roommate, and I know you can't see me, but I'm doing the air quotes, this roommate allegedly said that when she kind of saw them, there was blood everywhere and they were bound and gagged. And that's a fake. So if anybody sees that doing the rounds, can you just put, if it's on a stream, can you just put the creator straight that the police have said that is false? They weren't bound and gagged. It was Facebook, was it, Lotus Flower? I knew it was one or the other. Yeah, Down Under with Love. Still awake, I see. I read something about the hoodie guy of being at the club with the two of them. Yeah, they seemed to arrive at the food truck together, and then he kind of stood back a bit while they got their food. But then they walked off, and he walks off in a different direction. So, no, you've not missed a lot, Juju Bean. So I'm assuming that they've accounted for his whereabouts. Now, obviously, again, this is early on in the investigation for law enforcement. So, you know, I guess they're trying to rule people out as best they can at this stage. But there are ways that people can be ruled out reasonably reliably. So, you know, he walked off on his own. So, as part of the investigation, Detective seized the contents of 3 dumpsters on Kings Road to locate possible evidence. Additionally, detectives have contacted local businesses to determine if a fixed blade knife had been recently purchased. So they think that the knife was like a Rambo style knife. Sleepies for the week. Yeah, they've cleared Hoodie Guy. Yeah, they have. So like a Rambo style knife with like some serration on the blade, and just an absolutely horrendous way to die. Really is. At the time of this release, detectives have received nearly 500 tips which are being processed, investigated and cleared. 38 interviews have been conducted with individuals who may have information about the murders. Anyone with any information about this crime is asked to call 208 883 7180 or email tipline@ci.moscow.id.us. And then it just says who all the staffing are. So there's a lot of people working on this as of yesterday. Like I said, that's yesterday's update. There may be a new one out today, but if there is, I haven't seen it. Another Aussie that stayed up for this. A K-bar Rambo knife, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's go through the places, the maps, the town. Then we'll look at the autopsy, and then we'll look at the kind of the latest things that have been said. So Ethan and Xana were at a Sigma party, very close to King Road. I don't know whether you can make out King Road on here, but I've got like a bigger map anyway. So that's where Ethan and Xana were, and then the 2 girls, Kaylee and Maddie, were at the Corner Club. So that's in the town, in the downtown Moscow, very close to the university. Then they left there about 1:30, and then they went to the food truck, the grub truck on Main Street. And then this, for those of you who haven't seen the video, I can get the video up if you want, but I'm guessing that most people have seen this video like a million times. So the 2 girls are here. So they chat to this guy, and then they walk off left, and he's carrying on kind of talking, and then he goes up this street here. They go down this street, and then he goes up there. So they do part ways. So I'm reasonably confident that the police are right. Who am I to say? But I'm reasonably confident that he's not something to do with it. You know, if he'd walked off in the same direction, then it still wouldn't tell us anything really. But you know, yeah, Natalie, the sister of Kaylee, is doing her best to get this solved. She's even contacted neighbours to find ring footage of the girls getting out of the Uber. She contacted the driver. Hoodie Dude was cleared, Christina. He was indeed, yeah. Check out 5 University of Calgary murdered by knife in 2014. It's quite a long time ago, and it's quite a long way away, Calgary. Are you saying that there's a link? I mean, nothing's ruled out at this stage, but yeah, this came out 3 hours ago when I took this screenshot, but it's longer than 3 hours ago now, but it was today. Update: through further investigation, MPD learned Kaylee and Maddie used a private party for a ride home from Grub Truck at approximately 1:40 a.m. So it was a private taxi cab, not an Uber. So I'm guessing that person has been interviewed. If they've found that person, If they've not found that person yet, I'm guessing that that person will be on their list of people to find. But who knows? And then it was the following day. So they all got home about 1:45. And then, as I said, it wasn't until the following day, just before midday, that the bodies were discovered. So this map, I like this map. Can't remember where I found this map now. I think a lot of people have shared it, but it's a good map. I don't know whose it was. I'm trying to give people credit, but I don't know whose this was. So Kaylee and Maddie were at the Corner Club. Then they walked down just a couple of blocks to the grub truck, and then they got a cab to their home, and then their home is here. So that's just a 5-minute drive to here. And then Ethan and Xana were at the Sigma party, which is here. So very close. Yeah, we're going to get into that as well. We're going to get into Jack. Who is Jack? Who is Jack? So that's when the police find them. Now, I've heard a lot of people saying the roommates must be involved because why didn't they hear anything? Well, this might give a clue. Now, I can't vouch for the absolute accuracy of this because it came from the Daily Mail. This is a photograph from the Daily Mail, but it does make sense. Now, let me know if this has been disproven and give me your source, because I'd like to know whether this is accurate. So the house is on 3 floors. So you've got the first floor, which is like a basement, but like the parking level. So the parking's here to the front of the house. And then you've got the second floor, which will go along here. And then you've got the third floor, which is like, I guess it's an additional build on the original. I don't know. It's a strange shaped house, but it's nice. It looks nice. If you've seen the pictures inside, it looks nice. Now, it appears that those that were murdered were on the 3rd floor, except for it's believed that Ethan was on the 2nd floor. It is, yeah, it is a rag. And that's why I'm finding this interesting, but I'd like to see it confirmed with a more reliable source. Banfield had an on-camera tour of the house on her show. I haven't seen that yet. I need to watch that. And then it's alleged that the two roommates who survived were sleeping on the 1st floor. Now, if that's the case, if this can be verified, then it explains not only why the 2 survivors didn't hear anything, because effectively they're in a basement. And if most of this went on the 3rd floor and they come in late, we don't know what the roommates were doing on that night. They may have gone out and partied on their own, or they may have stayed in the house and had a party. We don't know. Or at least I don't know. If anybody knows what the roommates were doing, then let me know. Juju says, I sleep with headphones in every night and listen to Michelle Walks and wear a mask so a bomb could drop and I wouldn't wake up. I have to say I'm a very deep sleeper. Like literally my house could get trashed and I wouldn't wake up. It's strange, when my kids were little, I would wake up at the slightest sound. But now, I can sleep through anything. Like when Cassie was a puppy, she literally trashed the house on more than one occasion with the help of Tilly, who should know better. And I did not wake up. And literally, not only my room, but literally the house was trashed because she'd like run riot, just playing. And I wasn't here. And my son tells me sometimes the dogs are jumping on me when I'm asleep. I don't like my son will hear a noise, come in, like to my room, and the dogs are like literally playing, jumping on me, and I don't hear them. I don't wake up. So I think it's perfectly plausible that they could sleep through it. And also young people, if allegedly young people are deeper sleepers than older people. Cassie doesn't seem like the energetic type. No, she's normally very sedate. Very sedate. Lotus Flower said she slept through a tornado. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it's true that young people are deeper sleepers than older people. But if you've been drinking, most people, I think if they've been drinking, you sleep deeper. It's not something I'd experienced. Alcohol would do strange things to me. It just make the room spin. I've not drunk for many years because I just don't like it. So it never worked for me, but allegedly, a lot of people do sleep very, very deeply. So it could be if they were sleeping in this bottom area here, and the majority of the killings went on here, they're not going to hear it, are they? They're not going to hear it. There could be music on. They could have headphones in. Yeah, exactly, Juju. If it was a party house, they would just be used to a lot of people coming in and out. Yeah. Yeah. Bug Love, did Michelle have a rogue mod? I don't think I've got a rogue mod. Why? I think there's only Trixie Star who's a mod who's in. I've got a few mods on this channel, but I don't think I've got a rogue mod. Now, allegedly, Ethan was found on the second floor. So, I don't know. But the other thing about these two surviving is that if somebody came in here, not at the front where the parking is, but they came in here, then they might not necessarily know that there's people sleeping in the basement. That was my thought. I don't know. But if somebody's going to come in and massacre 4 people, well, if you've got beef against one person, why would you massacre 4? And if you're going to massacre 4, well, why not the whole house? Oh, Bug Love, I thought someone had unmodded me. Oh, it's because this is a different channel. So you might not be, you're not a mod on this channel. I can fix that though. There you go. You got your wrench on this channel. Lisa K says, looking at the house this way from this angle, I could see how the girls downstairs didn't hear anything. I could, absolutely. Absolutely. Because if the killer came in this door and maybe, and speculation alert, I need to have like a big sign that I spring up in front of everybody when I speculate. Speculation alert, if that person had been to the house before, but had not necessarily ever been down the basement before, because if that's just like sleeping, laundry maybe down there, then they might not know it exists. So if they've been kind of to a party here, then they're going to party on the main floor, aren't they? You would think. Yeah, it has been alleged that at least one of them had the doors locked. So that could be a factor, obviously. But if somebody really wants to massacre a whole house, surely a door isn't going to stand in their way. If they're prepared to massacre 4 people with a knife and they want to just run riot around the whole house, the door isn't going to stop them. honestly. The fact that there's a door closed is not going to stop them. I think, if anything, they didn't know that these two were in the basement. So that's just my thought. That if you'd been to that house before and you knew where the upstairs bedrooms were, you might not necessarily know that there's nothing other than like laundry room or, you know, junk room in the basement. They didn't know that there was 2 bedrooms. So 2 bedrooms on each floor. Exactly. So the 2 surviving roommates were asleep here. And then you've got this main floor, which has a couple of bedrooms. And then you've got this 3rd floor, which looks like kind of a smaller floor, 2 bedrooms there. They could have assumed that they weren't in. Yeah. If they didn't hear anything, didn't hear any noise from that room and just thought, oh, they're not in. Could absolutely be the case. So perhaps the place they were sleeping has saved them, but it's also meant that they've not been able to hear anything. But the police have said, their update yesterday, they have said that they do not believe the 2 surviving roommates or the male at the grub truck surveillance are involved in this crime. So that's what the police have said to date. So I'm not going to really speculate anymore on the roommates. I never honestly thought it was the roommates. Like, I've seen pictures of these 2 roommates and you think, well, all right, I'm not gonna stereotype, but 2 young women creating such a horrific scene. If they wanted to murder their other roommates, they'd have chosen a different way to do it, in my opinion. Like the way that this was done was so brutal and so rage fueled. This is somebody who is pretty much off their rocker, honestly. And if the roommates had done it, would they really have just stayed in the house and pretended that they were asleep? I don't think they would. I think they would have just pretended they weren't in and they'd been gone all night. Lee Ryder, they must have been screaming. Did they say the 2 that survived heard nothing? Yeah, they said they didn't hear anything. But I think it's the proximity to them. If indeed it's true that they were sleeping down here in the basement and the killings occurred here on the 3rd floor. Now, I think Ethan was found on the 2nd floor, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he wasn't attacked on the 3rd floor. Or maybe, I don't know where they all slept, you see. It could be that Xana and Ethan were sleeping on the 2nd floor. And maybe Ethan tried to escape or get help. I don't know. But then where did this 911 caller? Has anybody heard? Like this 911 caller, like looked through the window and saw someone unconscious. So where did this 911 caller look through? What window did they look through? Down Under with Love says, if one of the four killed was not a tenant and 2 surviving roommates, where's the extra person? So there's four that were murdered. Okay, so these are the 4 people that were murdered. So these 3 were residents in the house. And then you've got 2 more. So there's 5 women who share the house. And then Ethan was a visitor. He was a visitor of Xana. They'd been to a party together at Ethan's place and then gone back to Xana's place like really, really regrettable decision, but that's what had happened. So Ethan, so there were six in total involved, as in 4 murdered, 2 survived. But there was 5 in the house, 5 girls sharing the house. So there would have been, yeah, there would have been an unused bedroom. So yeah, there would have been an unused bedroom. So either 2 slept there and 2 slept there and 1 slept there, or 2 slept there, 2 slept there and 1 slept there. No, that's what's confusing people, because the original reports was that Ethan lived there, but he doesn't. Ethan didn't live there. He was visiting. I think it said it in the police thing that I've just read. Yeah, here we go. I thought I'd read it. It was previously reported that Ethan resided at the home. However, it has been determined that he was only visiting. So there's your 6th person from the early reports. Okay, so that's my speculation done for the day. That they didn't hear anything. The roommates didn't hear anything because they were sleeping here. And perhaps it saved them. That either the killer didn't know there were bedrooms down there, or, as Juju said earlier on, if they had their doors locked, the killer might have just assumed they weren't in. But either way, I think the layout of the house is sufficiently kind of distanced away for them potentially not to hear anything if they're sleeping deeply under the influence of alcohol, perhaps, you know, because this is a Saturday night, so they've probably been drinking. They're used to people coming in and out, so they're used to noise. Maybe they had music on, maybe they slept in headphones, who knows. Pam, the police have said in their update yesterday that they don't believe that the roommates are involved. Buglove says, did I miss it? What's behind the house? What does the 2nd and 3rd floors face? More homes. I'm going to show you the map. I might as well show you the map now, honestly. It makes more sense to do that now rather than go on to the autopsies. Okay, so let me just get rid of that for a second. All right, so this is 1122 King Road, so you can get down to street level on this. So this is their house. So that's the parking level. That's the parking level. So that's the basement. And then that's the 2nd floor, 3rd floor. So the parking level faces the street, actually faces Queen Road. So that faces all the houses. So I would imagine that the killer is not going to just walk up here, are they? Honestly. Yeah, I think so, Rebecca. Don't think the other girls had anything to do with it. I don't. I didn't. I would have been really surprised if the police had declared one or both of them suspects just by the way they were killed. And then it kind of makes me feel like I'm being sexist by saying 2 young women wouldn't butcher 4 people with a knife, because there's plenty of females who are mad enough to do something like that. But it feels to me, and this is just my opinion, it feels to me that this is a very angry person who is strong enough and fit enough, because honestly, to kill one person with a knife is, especially when somebody's resisting, Takes a lot of strength and energy. So imagine doing that 4 times. It's not like shooting 4 people, bang, 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 bang. That's easy. But a knife, it's very personal. A knife attack is very personal because you've got to get so close to them. You're likely to get injured yourself. So this is what I'm going to go on to in a second or two when I've covered the autopsies, that surely there must be evidence at the scene. Surely. Because there was so much blood, like there's a picture of blood oozing down the outside of the house. Like absolutely graphic. So how did that person get away with, they'd have had blood all over them? Exactly. CC 001. I think that is. Thanks, Christina. Check your FB Messenger from your Facebook page when you get a chance. Not urgent, but weird. Honestly, I never check my Facebook Messenger. I've got so many messages in there. I honestly never check it. I have no idea where to start. I have no idea where to start. I'll have a look, but I'm not guaranteed even to be able to find your message. I get so many messages every day on Facebook. It's just like, I need a secretary just to sit there and do nothing but reply to Facebook messages. Because the thing is, once you reply to one, then you've started a conversation. It's one of them. But thank you anyway for the $9.99. It's very generous of you. What was I saying? I can't remember what I was saying now. But it strikes me as a male, very angry. Oh yeah, strength. Not only strength to overpower 4 people, including another male. So if it was one of the girls, and again, I'm being really sexist by saying that a young man would be able to fight off a female with a knife. That's not true. That's not necessarily true at all. But to kill 4 people, it's got to be somebody who's really fit and knows how to use a knife, in my opinion, as well. Like to actually dispatch 4 people into the next world. There's skill involved. And the amount of rage to carry that killing on, you know, if it was personal against one person, they'd kill that one person, surely. Whereas to kill 4 of them, why would they do that? If at least some of them were asleep, why would you go and kill 4 of them? One of them who doesn't even live there. What's that about? Don't know, Scorpio Joe. That's a good thought. Did the killer come from where Xana and Ethan was partying? Could be. We really don't know at this stage, do we? We really don't know at this stage. Molly Brown Uptown. Lizzie Borden 2.0. Lizzie Borden. She had a motive though. She had a motive. She wanted rid of her parents. What's the motive in this situation? We don't even have a motive yet, do we? So a strong rage demon, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah, Chrissy, it's not sexy, it's just realistic. I think that if one of the young women wanted to kill their roommates, they'd have done it in a different way and they'd have planned what they were going to do afterwards. There is some strong women out there. There is. Look, I'm a martial artist. I've not trained for a long time, but I used to be able to overpower a guy. Not a problem. Not that I ever need. Well, I did actually need to occasionally, but not as an aggressor. Could be drug rage. Well, it could. Extra strength and stamina, depending on the drug. You really don't believe the blood dripping down at all? Likelihood blood travelled all the way. Well, it looked like blood. I mean, what else was it? I don't know. I don't know the layout of the house well enough to be able to say, well, where was that blood coming from? Holly, how many any cameras in the bar? Yeah, I'm sure there were. I'm sure there were. I'm sure that's all being looked through. Did anybody catch number 9 guy at food truck? Maddie hugged him, then 2 girls walked up abruptly, said something, kissed him on the lips and walked off. I didn't notice that. But I'm pretty sure that all of these people, so there's Maddie and Kaylee, there's this guy that they're taught to. So this is after they've been to the food truck. This is the guy that everyone was looking at, and he walks off in this direction. So what's number 9 guy? So he's talking to him. Then there's these 2 guys here. So Maddie and Kaylee were talking to this guy at first. Anyway, we know that they got into a taxi. So it was originally stated it was an Uber. The police have now updated that and said it was a private party. Yeah, I think that, Lisa Kay. I don't think that there was a knife like that in the house. I think the killer brought that knife and took that knife back with them. Oh, he had a number 9 on his shirt. All right. Well, anyway, I'm sure that the police will be working on who each one of those people were, and every piece of surveillance in the bar, and at the party that Xana and Ethan went to. That'll be easier for them to work out. That was a private residence rather than like an open bar. Or I'm at this moment in time, I'm going with the cops. I'm listening to the cops at this moment in time, saying they don't believe that neither roommate were involved, and they don't believe that the hoodie guy is involved either. So I'm going with that. But no, he was identified and cleared. He was with, yeah. The police have confirmed that they don't believe he was responsible. There were some other comments that I wanted to respond to before I moved on, and I've lost them now. Like the chat's done a jump. I think the killer was surprised that Ethan was there, killed him because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, Ethan absolutely was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Could have run into Ethan, killed him first, and then go for the. But what's the motive? What's the motive? Like the police have said, and this is probably a good time to go on to the autopsies. The police have said that none of the murdered people had been SA'd. So is that because the original motive was that against one of the occupants or more than one of the occupants, and they got disturbed, but they managed to murder 4 people, so that doesn't seem to have put them off, does it? Or is it not a sexual motive? If it's not a sexual motive, then I've no idea. Other than murdering people, especially multiple people with a knife, takes a lot of strength, a lot of stamina, a lot of rage, and it is up close and personal. So they've concluded that manner of death is obviously homicide. Cause of death is stabbing. The tox report won't come back for 4 to 6 weeks, so we'll be able to see how intoxicated they were. Not that it matters, I guess. And And then the coroner said that their wounds were pretty extensive. And she said in the 16 years she's been a coroner, she'd never seen a similar crime scene. It must have been horrific. Yeah, Blissful Essence. They were in separate rooms. Yeah, the house was 6 bedrooms. So 2 bedrooms on this floor, 2 bedrooms on this floor, and then 2 bedrooms on this floor. So there was 5 occupants. So there would have been a spare bedroom. And then Ethan was staying with Xana. So presumably he would have been in Xana's room, or he would have had the spare bedroom. I don't know. I'm not sure whether they were boyfriend and girlfriend or just friends. So yeah, they were able to kind of go to one room at a time. I'm guessing it must have been, oh my word. Imagine the scene. Oh my word. It's like, we've had multiple murders in the past, but nothing like this with 4 college students. Earlier Thursday, a local prosecutor said it was possible there may be more than one suspect in the weekend attack not far from the University of Idaho campus. I wondered the same. Like, to kill 4 people, was there more than one person? But having said that, I think I said this in a stream the other day when I just kind of just randomly started talking about this case. I just started to look into it. There could have been 2 guys, and I'm not sure. There'd have had to be 2 very similar knives, or else it would have been obvious from the autopsies that there was different weapons used. Thank you, Cecile. Could the killer be a hunter with knife skills? I think it's somebody who is familiar with using a knife, yeah. Not necessarily a hunter, possibly a hunter, but somebody who has got skill with a knife, who knows how to use a knife. That's my hunch. Because it would be far easier to take out 4 people with a gun than a knife. You could dispatch 4 people very quickly with a gun, especially if they're all in bed. It doesn't apply. I want heart to touch. I can't give away free memberships on this channel because I don't have memberships on this channel. I don't have it set up on this channel because I don't expect people to pay twice for my content. So it doesn't work like that on this channel, I'm afraid. People can always like the stream. It absolutely helps the algorithm. Oh, Buglove, that's interesting. Medical student, maybe. Oof, hey, that's a good idea. I think it's somebody who's good at using a knife. No idea. No idea. Now, I just included this because I thought it was interesting. However, if none of them were SA'd, then for me, this doesn't strike me as being really relevant. But this, I found this on Gray Hughes put this on his community. 2 sex offenders live right there. Unfortunately, there are so many out there, you never know, but believe the one right next to them is for exploitation of 16 to 17-year-olds, so not far off age range. Man, they are everywhere. So this is where they live, here. So there's one here in this kind of block of houses here, and then there's another one. I don't know where his arrow's pointing, but yeah. So, but I don't know. For me, if there's no sign of SA, I'm not convinced that this is that this would be an RSO. I think this is more personal than an RSO who knows that a bunch of girls live at that address. I don't think that an RSO would massacre 4 people. I just don't. I just don't. I mean, we don't want to get too gruesome, but if you know what you're doing with a knife, you can dispatch somebody quickly without them screaming a lot. Stab them in the throat. But obviously it depends how much they're resisting. So there, Cook 13 Doodle says, scream yes unless the first stab is to the vocal cords. If you stab them in the throat, they are going nowhere. They can still fight back for a short amount of time. No, they weren't bound and gagged. There was a screenshot going around. I mentioned this earlier. There was a screenshot going around the live streams, supposedly from one of the roommates, but it's been in the update that the police gave yesterday. It was said online reports of the victims being tied and gagged is not accurate. So it was a fake post. This roommate alleging that she saw them bound and gagged, that they weren't. So it's a fake post. So if you do see that doing the rounds, then just let the creator know, or let the person know that's spreading it, that it's not true. And just direct them to the City of Moscow Police Department's Facebook page. And it tells them right there, yesterday's update. Well, this is it, Juju. We don't know exactly where they were stabbed. Now, the coroner on News Nation said that the stabs were mainly to the upper body, but she was pretty vague. And because we've only got the manner and cause, we haven't actually got the reports themselves. We don't know where the location of the stab wounds were. So Lotus Flower says they had multiple stab wounds. Most of them had one lethal stab wound to the chest or upper body. It was a large knife. So, but yeah, they probably were screaming. You know, there probably was noise. It's horrific. Now, take this with a pinch of salt. This is from the Daily Mail. So take it with a pinch of salt. However, I've seen this in multiple sources, and this has been confirmed by Kaylee's sister. I've seen an interview with Kaylee's sister who's confirmed this. So this is regarding Jack, the strange Jack. Now, I'm not aware of Jack being identified as of yet. So this was from earlier today, but I've not seen Jack being identified as of yet. Not that I want people to go like just finding every single person called Jack in Moscow, Idaho, and pointing their fingers and saying, you did it. And that's not what we want to do at all. But it's just something to put on a slideshow. So here, Kaylee's sister has now revealed that her sibling and Maddie had started making calls to a person named Jack between the hours of 2:36 and 2:52 a.m. So also this former LAPD person had said that Kaylee had a stalker. Now, I don't know how he knew that. I don't know. As I said, this is the Daily Mail, so make you know, take it with a pinch of salt, except for this information about Jack, because that has been confirmed by Kaylee's sister. So photos on social media, because I assume that the Daily Mail have been through their social media profiles. posted by Kaylee show her with a young man named Jack. However, it's unclear whether this is the same person she and Maddie had been calling. And then personal. The coroner said this was looked like personal. Yeah, because it's a knife attack and it's up close and it's personal and it's, yeah. So this is Kaylee's sister was interviewed by Inside Edition. I could find this very easily if you want to hear her say this, but Inside Edition sometimes copyright claims, so I wasn't going to put it in this stream because they copyright claim, as do News Nation now. That's the reason why I'm not playing. I found this out during the Kylie Rodney case, that News Nation copyright claim and Inside Edition copyright claim. The smaller news networks don't tend to. How many Jacks could there be? Probably a lot. I mean, let me just think about how many people I know called Jack. Well, I had a dog called Jack to start with, who died in September. So I know several people called Jack, of all ages as well. You know, it's one of those names. You know, I'm pretty sure that all of my sons went to school with a Jack, like knew at least one Jack. But also it's a name that older men go by as well. It seems to be one of those timeless names. So if this Jack is somebody of interest, turns out to be a person of interest, then it could be it could literally be any age group. It's not like you know, certain names go through phases. Jacks are also Johns. Sometimes you can be John and you call yourself Jack, or I'm sure that my kids' friends who were called Jack were just Jack, like they weren't John being called Jack. But I do know that some Johns call themselves Jack. Now, my granddad used to call everyone Jack. If he didn't know the name, he'd call them Jack. I don't know whether that was something that was unique to my granddad or whether that was unique to the place he grew up. I've no idea, but he did. And I remember one time, I was only little, saying, "Granddad, how come all of your friends are called Jack?" And he said, "They're not." He says, it's just the name I use. It's like saying, "Hey, mate," or "pal." We just call them Jack. He'd go, "Hey, Jack, are you using those wood pallets there?" Right. "Hey, Jack, are you using that?" "Hey, Jack, are you selling that?" You know, he'd be doing that all the time. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so Kaylee's sister told Inside Edition that her sibling and Maddie started making calls to Jack, who she described to be a young man, at about 2:30 on the morning of the brutal massacre. Now, how does she know that Jack is a young man? How does she know that? So does she know that Jack is a young man? Does she know Jack? Or has she heard Kaylee talk about Jack? Jack of all trades. There you go. Can you scroll up the words on the screen? I already read all that. There isn't any more words on the screen, I'm afraid. That's it. It's a picture of Maddie and Kaylee. So Kaylee calls Jack 6 times between 2:26 and 2:44. And then from 2:44 to 2:52, Maddie calls Jack 3 times. So it's like they want to, like Kaylee calls him and he's not answering to Kaylee. So Maddie tries to call him. Now that's like a friend saying, "I'll call him because he doesn't know my number." So is that somebody that Kaylee fell out with? It is her sister. She might know. She might do. But if she does, then I'm sure that the police have already located Jack. If Kaylee's sister knows who Jack is, then I'm pretty sure the police are already on it. And maybe they'll say in the next update that they've located Jack and they don't think he's involved. If so, then we are literally at square one, because the only people that we know about are the roommates, cleared, man at the food stall, cleared, and then we've got this mysterious Jack. Pot dealer, perhaps. Could be, but dealers tend to answer their phones. Maybe. I'm assuming Jack may have been just asleep. But just the way that the calls went, and having been young myself, you know, if you've got a mate that you know, really needs to get hold of them. But honestly, when I was young, we didn't have mobile phones, we didn't have cells, we didn't have this problem when I was young. But you know, maybe when I wasn't so young, you know, you call off a phone that they don't recognize, because if you think that they're ignoring you, then you call from a number that they don't recognize to see whether they'll pick up to someone else. Phone could be on silent, could be asleep. But what it does mean is that we know that Kaylee and Maddie did not go straight to bed. So whoever this Jack is, whether it turns out that he's a person of interest, or in the next update from the police, they've cleared Jack. Who else do you call 10 times? Maybe a boyfriend that you've had or a friend that you've had an argument with, and you just keep ringing them. My mother does this. If you don't answer the first time, she'll keep ringing. So some people just do. Keep ringing. But just realised I got my top on back to front, and I've had it on all day. No one told me. Anyway, I haven't seen anybody, so no one wouldn't have told me. I don't know, but this is a lot of times, isn't it? 9 times between the two of them. So by 2:52, they've either got bored, and thought Jack's in bed, or I don't know, they've gone to bed themselves. But the important thing, I think, from this is it tells us that Kaylee and Maddie were alive at almost 3 a.m. So whatever happened between 3 a.m. and 12 noon the following day. Cassie tried to tell you it was Inside Out. No, Cassie wouldn't tell me. Cassie doesn't care. Tilly might. Tilly is very caring. She might try and tell me. Cassie wouldn't. If I've not got treats, Cassie's not interested. Assuming it was really them calling Jack. Yeah, I know that they estimate the time of deaths between 3 and 4 a.m. I mean, yeah, they'll be able to tell approximately how many hours they've been deceased. Yeah. So these calls were made shortly before the attack started. It is a lot. It is a lot of calls in half an hour. It is. But, well, it's actually only like 20 minutes, really, isn't it? 25 minutes. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. But anyway, if we go back to this house, so round the back is very quiet. So I don't think that they've come in this way. I think they've gone round the other way, which means... just get a side view here. Can I get a side view? Is that house in the way? That other house is going to be in the way. Can I go up there? Go up there. How many of you do this? Do drive arounds? Oh, you can't see for those trees. Oh, I could go up here. Whoa! What did that do? Why did that jump? Where have I gone here? Hold on, I'll have to zoom back out. Completely lost now. Where did I go? I've been teleported into a completely different area. All right, we're gonna have to research, aren't we? There we go. There we go. There we go. Oh, I've gone down here. All right, so you see the front. What is it doing? What is it doing? Why is that moving like that? Don't do that. That's stupid. So the SO, I think, lives in one of these, somewhere around here. So yeah, I think if they're coming from the other way, so from this way, so there's houses all along that side, so they're not going to come in that side, they're going to come in that door. Because there's like there's at least coverage of trees that way. So I think that's the way they've come in. Thank you, Lena, for the $5. That's very kind of you. Also, something else that I may have read and just forgotten. Was there signs of a break-in? Because I don't remember seeing that there were signs of a break-in. Because that's really important, isn't it? Neighbour said they heard a noise but thought it was a party. Okay, well, that's possible. You could park on another street and, yeah, sneak up through the trees and not be seen. Absolutely. That's exactly what I think they've done. They've not just rolled up to the front of the house. They've gone round the back way, like under the cover of the trees, before it gets light. Like, what time does it get light in Idaho? Well, anyway, if they say the deaths were between 3 and 4 a.m., then that's irrelevant. But yeah, dark in the trees, park on another street, or even, right, look, let's think about it. Doesn't it have to be somebody who lives very close? And this goes to, surely the amount of evidence that they left behind must be extensive. So the door wasn't locked. Oh, got you. So it gets light about 7-ish. So it gets light later in Idaho. It's light here at 7 now. So no. Well, that was very worrying. It's still very worrying. Can you hear me now? Well, that was very worrying. Oh my God. Hold on. Can you all hear me without an echo? Yeah, good. I don't know what happened. My computer, I'm on my other computer. So I have two laptops. So I've got one watching the chat and then one doing stuff. And it just went off. I mean, completely off. Like just complete black screen. And it's still not, doesn't want to play at all. It's just logging in now. That's weird. It's never done that before, not once. Okay, it's letting me back in now. Or is it? Yeah, it is. Weird. That is weird. That is weird. All right, now I don't know. Look at me. There's two of me now. No. I think we're back. Okay, right. I've lost everything that I was sharing though. But I think, honestly, I think we're pretty much to the that I think that's as much as we know. But I do want to play you a couple of things. I'm just getting my chat back on my other computer. Just bear with me a second. Oh, just give me a second. I can't talk and click my mouse at the same time.
Would you believe a few simple changes?
Shut up. Right. I want to play. Actually, I'm not going to play the coroner's one. I was going to play the coroner's one, but as I said before, News Nation now copyright claims, and I'm sure that you guys possibly will have seen it. Computer says no. It absolutely did say no. Yeah, it wasn't having any of it. It really wasn't. I've never done that before. Not once. Okay, so all right. Where is it? I saved it on my profile. This one. So I thought this was an interesting interview. It's only short, it's only 3 minutes. She got multiple defensive wounds, according to. So this is we're hearing from Xana's dad. So she fought her killer until the very end. He says her autopsy showed she had multiple defensive wounds. So at least one of them, I bet all of them fought. Let's listen to this.
A very disturbing case. Investigators say they still believe this is a targeted attack, but the killer is still out there. Live in Phoenix, I'm Sarah Robinson for Arizona's Family.
So again, if at least, even if just one of them fought back, This has to be somebody who has got the capacity to wield a knife and carry on fighting against 4 people. So we're looking for somebody who is physically fit, can use a knife. These are just my thoughts. But however skilled you are with a knife, and however much you've planned this attack, if this indeed was planned, how did they not leave any evidence? I absolutely believe that there will be a lot of evidence left at the scene. They got in through the door, has a door code. So potentially it could be somebody who knew the code of the door, or some people are saying that one of the doors was left unlocked. So the door wasn't locked. But if they were up, if they were still awake, because we know that if the murders occurred between 3 and 4, that's the kind of rough time we've been given, 3 and 4 a.m., we know that Kaylee and Maddie were awake at 3 because they were texting this mysterious Jack. So they may have all been awake. So they don't necessarily... They could have even had the door open. Man, it would have been cold, wouldn't it? I was going to say they might have even had the door open, but no, it's November. It would have been too cold to have the door open. But there would have been lights on, you would think. So, but if they were all awake, now we know these two must have been together at 3 a.m. So maybe just before 3, maybe they said, "Oh, we're giving up on Jack and going to bed." So they went to bed, and then this person has waited for the lights to go off and then crept in. So yeah, some were in bed, not all. Ethan, I've seen or heard, was on this 2nd floor, and somebody had to be out of a bedroom to be seen through a window. Like this mysterious 911 caller. What window did they look through to see somebody allegedly unconscious? Lena says, could one person do all these murders? They could. I've speculated that there could be potential that there's more than one. However, they would have had to have very similar weapons, because they'd be able to tell if a different type of weapon was used. So let's say there was 2 people and one person used one style of knife and the other person used another style of knife. They'd be able to tell that at the autopsies, especially with so many stab wounds. But just think, right, that it's an absolute bloodbath. How did that person get out of the house without leaving footprints? There must have been footprints. Like, even if they took their shoes off at the door and then when they ran away, they didn't have shoes on. Well, that doesn't make sense. There must have been footprints. So where are these bloody clothes? There has to be DNA, because you don't fight back. If you're fighting somebody, if you're struggling with somebody, you grab them. So there's going to be DNA under fingernails. There's going to be perhaps injuries on the offender. The chances are they would have broken their own skin and left DNA. There has to be DNA all over that place. Now, there has to be DNA on those victims. There has to be. Emily says, yes, one could. I sent you a tweet about Richard's spec. I wish someone would talk about him in relation to this. One person can do it. Oh, I'm not doubting. I'm not doubting that one person couldn't do it. But like I said, if it was one person, you'd have to be strong. You'd have to be, where did you send me the tweet? I'm not getting any messages in my Twitter. Trying to read all this. It's like I don't even look at my notifications. Possibly washed and changed while they were there. Well, the reason why they'll have taken away the dumpsters, they like took 3 big dumpsters away, would have been because they'd have wanted to see if they put any items of their clothing in there. You'd have to be completely insane to do that. I don't know what hashtag people are using for this case. See if Alexandra Duggan's been tweeting about it. Oh yeah, that's the tweet I told you about before. It's really frustrating for local journalists to see things like this after we've already asked these questions and got them, can't talk about it. Local reporters are here doing the work. We know this community. So this coroner said it's likely that they were asleep, but we know that that can't be true. If at least Xana had defensive wounds, we know it can't be true. So what hashtag are these people using? I don't think there's any updates though. Richard Speck is no longer living. No, but if it's somebody who I've never heard of him, I'm going to have to look him up. Hold on. Please hold. Richard Speck. Richard Speck. Okay. Richard Speck was an American mass murderer who killed 8 student nurses in their South Deering, Chicago residence via stabbing, strangling, and slashing their throats, or combination of the 3, on the night of July 13th to 14th, 1966. Oh, I know this case. I just didn't, I'm rubbish at putting names to things. I know this case. So one victim was also odd prior to her murder. So this is sexual motive that's gone into a complete bloodbath. A 9th potential victim survived hiding under the bed. Wow. His sentence got reduced to 100 to 300 years in prison. But he died of a heart attack while incarcerated on the eve of his 50th birthday. Dear me. So there you go. This dude was able to take 8 out. Yeah. Military training. Hunter. Butcher, like cuts up meat. Just can use a knife. Military training sounds good. Sounds like a good opportunity. Medical student, somebody said earlier on. Yeah, I know the case now. I don't know the case well. I've heard of the case. Let me just say, I've heard of the case. Male profile. I think it's a male. I honestly do think it's a male. Possibly. Yeah. Okay, so if it's a male, disable Ethan, then Xana, and then the other two are trapped to the upper floor and have nowhere to go. Yeah. I think if it's true that Ethan was found on the second floor, and if they've heard someone coming in, they've gone out to check. If they're in the bedroom, they've gone out to check. It's attacked Ethan. Xana's fought back because Ethan's been attacked. And then Kaylee and Maddie are just upstairs. And then if the killer did know about the basement, then they'd either run away by this point or they went downstairs, but they thought that no one was in. Well, they probably didn't get a chance. They probably didn't get a chance. Because if Ethan and Xana were on the second floor and were dispatched quickly, I know that sounds horrible, and Kaylee and Maddie were upstairs, they probably didn't even hear. Who made the 911 call? That's the $6 million question. We don't know. Somebody calling at the residence just before midday, the following, no, it wasn't the following day, but somebody, like, it went all the way. So they were killed by 4 a.m. and then it was midday before 911 was called. Seems like the dog would bark. Yeah, the dog would bark, but if you're asleep, would you hear it? Would you hear it? I don't hear my dogs barking when I'm asleep. And if it's a dog that barks a lot, I mean, we don't know. If it's a dog that barks a lot, you're probably just used to it, you tune it out. Or if it was a dog that's quite timid, the dog would have gone and hid. So the dog might not have been any use whatsoever. Because we know the dog wasn't injured. The dog wasn't hurt. Which leads me to believe that the dog went and hid. Small dogs are yappy. Most of them are, yeah. Like yippy yappy dogs. They don't tend to be dead loud though. What kind of dog was it? Ange TX Sun says Labradoodle. Tilly's a Labradoodle and she can bark. She's a guard dog. She can bark. They're not barky from what I experienced. They are. Tilly's a barker. But she's big. So she's a standard poodle crossed by a Labrador, and she's got a really big, deep bark. So even if she's not aggressive, she sounds like she is. And any poodle, in my experience, any poodle cross, poodles are barkers. Poodle crosses tend to be barkers because of the poodle in them. That's just my experience. Obviously, they might just take after the other that's in their breed. But Noodle's a barker. Noodle's a cockapoo. He's a barker. And he's only a puppy. And Jack was a barker. Jack was terrible. He was a poodle. He was way worse than Tilly has ever dreamt of being. Any slight noise, Jack would bark. Really annoying. He was a miniature poodle. They are super smart, yeah. They are super smart. But they're yappity things. Love to have a dog like Tilly. She's a good dog. She's a good dog. Her only negative is she chases people on the field. And because she's a barker, she does scare some people. That's why I always call her back. Because she's scary. Like, you just imagine a dog Tilly size bounding up to you barking. You're gonna, if you're a bit nervous of dogs, even if you've got a dog yourself, like, I think the most nervous people are the people with dogs, because they think that the dog's going to get attacked, and she wouldn't attack anybody. Like, she just barks. Whereas Cassie's not a barker. She hardly ever barks, Cassie. Yeah, good point. Good point. Maybe the dog was familiar with the person. Good point. Yeah. Heard the dog was found outside. Okay, that could be true. I don't know. I haven't heard that. That could be true. Yeah, she did it twice this morning. She got put on a lead eventually. I usually give her one chance. And then if she does it again, I put her on a lead. No, I don't know. I hadn't heard it. I don't know. I couldn't say whether it's true or not. It makes sense. Cassie's bonkers. Cassie's pretty calm when she's inside. She's pretty calm. She's bonkers on the field. Allegedly Kaylee, but that's just something that the media are reporting. I don't know whether that's come from an official source, but apparently Kaylee's the one with the stalker. The dog was a Labradoodle, allegedly. But I think the killer will have left blood behind, will have left other DNA behind, will have left footprints. So that's a good question. That's a good question. I'm not sure who they saw first. Does anybody know who they saw first? Who that mysterious 911 caller? No, she's a Springer Spaniel. No, I know there was no unconscious person, but that's what the 911 caller allegedly said, that someone was unconscious, that they looked through the window and they saw someone unconscious. This 911 caller, right, if you look through the window, you know the difference between an unconscious person and someone that's been stabbed to death. Surely you'll be able to see the blood from the outside. This is what I don't understand. So who made that 911 call? And maybe that's why they're not releasing that information, because they think it might be the killer. No, Springer Spaniel. She's a Springer Spaniel. I mean, that could be the... But who... Right, if you're the killer, why would you make the 911 call, though? Why would you do it? Why would you make the 911 call if you were the killer? Like, for the thrill of it? To, like, watch the police arrive? If so, it has to be somebody really, really, really local, doesn't it? And somebody... I was just about going to that thought, and I think that was when my computer shut down. But it has to be somebody local, in my opinion, because they had to get away fast. because if they'd have traveled any distance, they have a massive risk of getting seen and caught with blood on them. Because even if they washed and changed and stuff at the scene, right, who's gonna hang around, right? I'm not sure that they'd do that. Who would hang around and do that? Maybe they would. Maybe they'd take the time. If they thought they'd killed everybody in the house, maybe they'd take the time. For me, that's the most confusing thing. That's the most troubling thing for me about this case at the moment. This 911 call, and then how did the killer get away? It has to be somebody, in my opinion, it has to be someone really local. Yeah. If somebody was aware, excuse me, if somebody was aware of DNA and stuff like that, then yeah, you're definitely not going to wash and change at the scene. Unless you rinse everything down with bleach after. And would you really do that? I think that they didn't know that there was the other 2 bedrooms downstairs. That's my opinion as well. What, there was a handprint? If there was a handprint, then they've got fingerprints as well. I mean, that's the thing. You know, you're going to leave fingerprints everywhere, aren't you? Because you're going to be touching stuff with bloody hands. Unless you wear gloves. You could have worn gloves. I said I wasn't going to speculate and I was going to stick to facts, but now I'm speculating like you wouldn't believe. It's just difficult to wrap your head around, like the logistics of it all, and not being like doing that, and surely you'd think it through, that how are you going to get away without being caught? So everybody left town for holiday because of the murders. Do you think the killer stayed in town? Well, it's not a small town, is it? So not all students have gone home. And honestly, I think I'd go home. If I was like a student who'd done it, I think I'd go home. Because then you're distancing yourself from the place. I'd go home. So I don't know. Oh, well, the cops do. Of course they do. That's how they develop the theories. And when you've got, but they'll obviously know a lot more than we do, so they can speculate, but with more facts. What's peakerism? What is peakerism? Never heard of it. What do I think of peakerism? I have no idea. I have no thoughts because I don't even know what it is. 25,000 people, so it's not a small town, is it? It's not like a town with like 1,000 people in it when you'd notice if someone was missing. Where's Colombo? Don't know. Well, yeah, apparently they were in, like, they all had separate bedrooms. So it was easy to overpower one at a time, except for Xana and Ethan. Like, that killer, this is another reason why I think it's personal, that killer they weren't just targeting one person. Like, because you could sneak around a house, you could wait till you knew everyone was asleep, sneak around the house, murder that one person, and just leave. So why kill 4? Now, they might not have expected Ethan to be there because he was just visiting. He was just staying overnight with Xana. So, killer not expected Ethan. However, why kill 4 people? So, it's baffling. Yeah, 4 people in 3 different rooms. So I think Ethan and Xana were on the 2nd floor. Let me just get this picture back up. Hold on a minute. Give me a second. Where's it gone? There it is. I think Ethan and Xana were on this floor because there's 2 bedrooms on each floor for those who weren't here when I explained this. So 2 bedrooms on each floor. So you've got this area, which is, this is the front of the house where the parking area is. That's the ground floor, the 1st floor. We'd call that the ground floor in the UK, and then we call that the 1st floor and that the 2nd floor. But I think Americans do it better because for me, that's the 1st floor, 2nd floor. Anyway, but I think the killer came in this way because this is the back and there's trees. There is another road behind those trees, but there's shelter here. Whereas on this side, there's just like a row of houses right in front of this house. So they're not going to come in the front way. So I think they've come through this door. Xana and so the 2 roommates who survived, this is just my opinion. Don't say this is a fact. This is my opinion. I think the 2 that survived were sleeping here. And then Xana and Ethan were sleeping here. And allegedly, at least Ethan was found on the floor here. And then Kaylee and Maddie were on the 3rd floor. So I think Ethan and Xana were first, and then the killer went upstairs and killed them. So if they were just looking for one person, let's say they were, some mental stalker and just looking for one person, if they saw, like if they got confronted with Ethan and Xana, wouldn't they just run away? They didn't want to kill. I don't know. Well, maybe they think, well, they've seen me now. I'm going to kill them. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Some killers do that, Mandy, don't they? May have stayed in town to revel in all the chaos. Depends on the mental status. That's absolutely the case. That's why you could speculate that it was the killer that rang 911 to like watch the chaos like developing. If that's the case, they have to be very local. And if they're very local, I'm pretty sure that they'll get caught pretty soon. Okay, so yesterday the local news said the survivors were asleep on the 3rd floor. Well, it could well be. It could well be. That's just my opinion. That's what I've just been my opinion. And I did hear somewhere that there was the 2 survivors were sleeping on the 1st floor. So it could well be that they were sleeping, that the survivors were on the 3rd floor. You see, this is the thing. There's conflicting stories. That's why I'm saying this is just my opinion. I don't know this as a fact. I don't know this as a fact. It's just if they were sleeping here, it makes sense why they didn't hear anything. But I guess if they were sleeping up here, the survivors, then the same thing applies, that they're still far enough away for noise not to carry. I don't know. We'll find out all of these things, won't we? The police are still having to correct things that they're saying because it is very early. It's very early in the case. So I think anything you hear up to now, you know, take it with the expectation that that's not set in stone. It might be a good time just to read what the police have said. I just want to see if there's an update. Just a sec. Let's just see if there's an update before reading that. That was yesterday's update. Let me just double check to see if there is an update of Moscow Police Department. There isn't. I think this is the same one, but so this is the same one that I read. They've just updated it because they said in this update that it was an Uber, but it's not. It was a private kind of taxi, private person rather than an Uber. So this is the latest update, November 18th, 4:40 p.m. So I'll read this and then probably sign off unless anybody's got any burning questions. But I'm just as new to this case as you are. This case is not even a week old yet, so we're going to get a lot of conflicting information. So, on the evening of November 12th, Kaylee and Maddie were at a local bar called the Corner Club in downtown Moscow between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. on November 13th. Approximately 1:40 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie were seen on video at a local food vendor called the Grub Truck. They used a private party for a ride home from downtown to arrive at 1122 King Road at 1:45 a.m. So that yesterday said Uber. They've now changed that to private party. Investigators have determined that Ethan and Xana were seen at the Sigma Chi or Chai, I don't know, house on the University of Idaho campus. It's dead close to King Road, that. At approximately 1:45 a.m., Ethan and Xana are believed to have returned to the residence. It was previously reported that Ethan resided at the home. However, it's been determined that he was only visiting. 2 other roommates were at the residence that night. So the police haven't said where anyone was sleeping. So we're speculating. I think we're all speculating. On November 13th at 11:58 a.m. That can't be right. Oh, yeah. I was going to say that can't be right. That's in the night. It's not, is it? 11:58 a.m. Officers responded to the residence after a 911 call reported an unconscious individual. Who on earth is this 911 caller? Upon arrival, officers discovered Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan deceased inside the residence. Autopsies were conducted on November 17th. Is it Latter or Later? Or somebody tell me how to pronounce that. County coroner confirmed the ID of the 4 murdered individuals and their cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing. The coroner stated that the 4 victims were likely asleep. Some had defensive wounds, and each was stabbed multiple times. There was no sign of sexual assault. At this time in the investigation, detectives do not believe the 2 surviving roommates or the male in the Grub Truck surveillance video are involved in this crime. So we can pretty much rule out the roommates and rule out the guy at the Grub Truck who was talking to the hoodie guy. So I think they've cleared him. When they clear somebody, they can always put them back in the frame if they get more info. But I'm going to just abide by what the police say here and just say roommate's not involved. grub truck guy not involved. What about mysterious Jack? He's still on the list. Additionally, online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. The ID of the 911 caller has not been released. Why? Why? That's important. I feel that's important. What do you think? I feel that's important. That's not been released. So they know who it is, I think. Not been released. As part of the investigation, detectives seized the contents of 3 dumpsters on King Road to locate possible evidence. Additionally, detectives have contacted local businesses to determine if a fixed blade knife has been recently purchased. At the time of this release, detectives have received nearly 500 tips, which are being processed, investigated, and cleared. 38 interviews are being conducted with individuals who may have information about the murders. Anyone with information about this crime is asked to call 208-883-7180 or email tipline@ci.moscow.id.us. So they've got the Idaho State Police, FBI, Lotte County Sheriff's Office, and those are the numbers of staff. Currently, there are no suspects in custody and the weapon has not been found. So anybody reporting suspicious behaviours, please do call in. Anything at all, please call in. If you're suspicious, call in. Because we've got to nail this guy. We've got to nail this guy. Got to nail him. Well, they've taken the dumpsters away to check, because the chances are that somebody who has just stabbed to death 4 people is going to be covered in blood. So you're probably more likely just to throw your clothes in a random dumpster than you are to try and wash the blood out. Yeah, come on, get me some more likes. Let's have a look what the likes are on. Even though there's no memberships on this channel. 469 likes. Let's get it up to 500 likes before the end of the stream. I think we can do that. 500. So we only need another 30. I think we can do that. So if you've not liked the stream, get it liked. You might as well. You've got nothing to lose. It won't cost you anything. 492. Oh, so close. Keep going. There we go. 502 likes. Thank you all. There we go. Not a serial killer. I don't know. Don't know whether this person has murdered before. Murdered before and not got caught. I don't know. Did they wash their hands in the sink? Don't know. You'd think so. Or else there'd just be blood everywhere. They may have taken gloves. But the more prepared they are when they arrive, the longer it's taken them, like they've really thought it through. So this isn't a crime of anger, passion, whatever you want to call it. This is meticulous planning, thought it through, thought about everything. Or it's somebody who has killed before knows a lot about crime. I guess we do, like people in the true crime community know a lot about crime. That's right, 6 bedrooms. So 5 residents plus Ethan was visiting and 6 bedrooms. They all had a bedroom each. It could be a woman. It could be a woman, Deb. It could be a woman. I don't know. I feel that stabbing 4 people to death is more of a guy thing than a girl thing. I'm avoiding, and I've said it loads of times in the stream, and I've said this is sexist because a woman could easily do this, easily. However, I just feel, I've got a hunch. It's just a hunch, that's all. I just feel it's a guy. But I've been wrong before, and I'm sure that I'll be wrong again. I'm sure I'll be wrong again. Anyway, guys, I am going to call it a day. Let's see how this one progresses. I'm going to be following this case very closely. I'd be shocked if it was a woman as well. However, it's happened. It's happened before. Yeah, I just got a hunch. Got a hunch. Yeah. Coroner state in the early report of all victims being in bed was inaccurate. Yeah, because Ethan was on the 2nd floor, and as far as I understand it, he wasn't in the bedroom. That's as far as I understand it. But again, things are going to change and so on. We don't know the answers to a lot of these things. The cops won't know the answers to a lot of these things. Obviously, they'll know the locations of where everyone was. They'll know what bedrooms they were in. They'll know if, you know, how much they fought. They'll know all of that, whereas we necessarily don't know yet. Why not check the last 2 bedrooms? My speculation was that if the 2 were sleeping in the basement, they might not necessarily know. If they came in the back way, they might not necessarily know there was a floor down below. But if it's true that the 2 that survived were on the top floor, then I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you, because they'd definitely be able to tell if there was an upstairs. So I don't know the answer to that, which is why I thought there was a report, and it was in a, newspaper report, not an official report, that the 2 who survived were on the 1st floor, the basement floor. And that made sense to me. That's why I've kind of talked it through today. That made sense to me. But it could be that report is inaccurate and they were sleeping on the top floor. We don't know why they didn't check those last 2 bedrooms. We don't know. Yeah. If you haven't, click the like button. Oh, 557. Well over 500. Anyway, the doors did have locks on, but apparently, well, the lock was a keypad. So if somebody knew the keypad number, and then it's been alleged, now again, I don't know how true this is, it's been alleged that one of the doors was unlocked. But if they'd only just gone to bed and they were intoxicated, maybe they forgot to lock one of the doors. Anyway, I'm going to follow this case very, very closely. Very closely. I hope they catch this guy or girl, whoever it is. I hope they catch them quickly. This person cannot be out on the streets. They are far too dangerous to be out on the streets. If you can massacre 4 people like that, you are too dangerous to be on the streets. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for the super chats, the super stickers. Thank you to the moderators. I think we just had the 2 in. Correct me if I'm wrong. We've got Trixie Star and Bug Love. Thank you both. If there's mods in that I've missed, because if I'm on YouTube, I can see you're in different color, but you're not on on StreamYard. Anyway, I'm just waffling now, so I'll leave you all to do whatever you're going to do for the rest of your Saturday or Sunday if you're in Australia, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye, guys.